By 1920, Gilbert had added chemistry sets to his catalog. The Chemcraft kits made by the Porter brothers of Hagerstown, Maryland, had been on the market since 1914, and Gilbert had seen what they were doing. He built his own version, larger and more comprehensive, with more chemicals and a better instruction booklet. The Gilbert chemistry set of the 1930s and 1940s and 1950s was a serious piece of educational equipment. It contained acids. It contained sodium cyanide, which could dissolve gold in water and was also a deadly poison. It contained ammonium nitrate. It contained an alcohol lamp for heating substances. The instruction booklet contained experiments that produced colored flames and small explosions and gases that had to be conducted near an open window. The atomic chemistry sets of the early 1950s included samples of actual uranium ore supplied with a Geiger counter so boys could measure the radioactivity themselves. We sold uranium ore to children for Christmas in 1950. We put it in a cardboard box with a bow on it. This was not recklessness, it was a philosophy. Gilbert's philosophy, which the culture of the time largely shared, was that knowledge was safer than ignorance. That a boy who understood what sodium cyanide did was safer than a boy who did not. That the way to prevent accidents was education and respect for the materials, not the removal of the materials. That challenge produced competence, and competence produced safety. And that the alternative, protection through ignorance, produced neither competence nor real safety. The instruction booklets were precise. The experiments were structured. The dangers were explained. Boys who followed the instructions generally did not hurt themselves. Boys who ignored the instructions occasionally did. This was considered a reasonable outcome for a toy that was teaching real chemistry. Robert F. Curl Jr. received a chemistry set as a child. He later said that within a week of opening it, he knew he was going to be a chemist. In 1996, he won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the discovery of buckyballs. He is not the only scientist of his generation who traced the beginning of his career to a chemistry set received under a Christmas tree. Then the laws arrived. The Federal Hazardous Substances Labeling Act of 1960 required labels for toxic and dangerous substances. It was not aimed specifically at chemistry sets. It was aimed at household products that killed people through ignorance of their contents. But it put chemistry set makers on notice. The chemistry sets contained hazardous substances. The act required those substances to be labeled. The next step, which did not take long, was the removal of the substances entirely. The alcohol lamps came out first. Then the acids. The 1960 version of a chemistry set that had contained 48 chemicals in 1950 now contained something less, with something removed. AC Gilbert himself had died in 1961. He was 76 years old, and the company he had built was already beginning to struggle without him. The management that followed made decisions he would not have made. In 1962, in an attempt to attract girls to the toy market, they introduced a nurse kit. Gilbert, who had spent his career arguing that children needed to be challenged by serious educational toys, was being succeeded by people who were trying to determine which toys would sell most broadly. The Toy Safety Act of 1969 was the first national safety standard for toys. It banned any toy deemed hazardous. The Consumer Product Safety Commission was established in 1972 and continued to police the toy market. The Toxic Substances Control Act of 1976 gave the EPA authority to restrict chemicals and banned many of the substances that chemistry sets had relied on. The AC Gilbert Company had already been bankrupt since 1967. The Porter Chemical Company, maker of Chemcraft, went under in 1984. By the time the Toxic Substances Control Act of 1976 had finished its work, the companies that had built serious chemistry sets were gone.